today. Just what are you hoping to see from him, and how important are these, I'm assuming, last two starts of the regular season for him as he prepares for October?
They're important. They're very important. I think the last time he threw was in Baltimore. So he's got some rest under him. I think he feels good. I know he feels good, and it's going to be a good challenge for him. And he seems to always rise to the occasion. But it's going to be another playoff environment tonight, so it's going to be fun. So the plan is for him to get through 5 innings, and then we'll see where we're at after that.
He is planning to have another one before.
Yeah.
And then with just preparing for October, when you look at a player like him, obviously his first experience in the postseason last year, this year would be his first time pitching in the postseason, but considering how much that is in the body, just what do you kind of expect to see from him, and if there's maybe a change that you might have to manage him come October?
I don't think so. I think, my experience as far as the postseason, obviously never having a two-way, I just think the adrenaline is going to really kick in. And so whenever we decide to start him, I think he'll be ready to make his start. And then, he'll be in the lineup every night. So I don't think that, my thought is going to be to manage him in any particular way. Outside of, pitch usage, being respectful of his workload up until this point.
Obviously, at the start of the year, you guys wanted him to be in a place where he was kind of getting built up and pitching at his best at this point of the season. How realistic did that feel back then, with all the uncertainties that were going into it? And how pleased have you been with how the pitching progression has kind of played out to kind of put him in this spot now?
I think that we couldn't be more pleased with how it's played out. Obviously, Shohei's the driver of this, but the training staff, the coaches have all done a great job of kind of managing it. His teammates have done a great job of allowing for the different starts, the days in between. But looking at where we were at in spring training to be here now, just overjoyed, and just want to make sure that we keep him sharp and getting him ready for the postseason.
What have you learned about him as a pitcher this year?
What I've learned about Shohei as a pitcher is, he's always very critical of himself, so that kind of rings true as well as a pitcher as far as expecting excellence. I think he has such a good way to manipulate the baseball, making the ball go right to left, making the ball go north-south, incorporating the two-seamer, the four-seamer. So his feel for the baseball is pretty remarkable.
Typically, we tell the guys coming off the second TJ, it takes a while to get that feel back. Are you surprised at how quickly it's been back for him and how sharp everything's coming?
Yeah, I am. And I think that for us, we've been very fortunate, and it's a credit to those two guys. And I can put Emmett in that bucket as well, as far as, coming off TJ to have the feel, where we really didn't have the luxury of having Emmett have a dry run and coming back from TJ, or Shohei having a dry run and it not count, coming off TJ. So yeah, very surprised at how he came back to have the feel that he has after TJ.
Last year was obviously very extraordinary, and this year's much different for Shohei. How would you describe how extraordinary this year has been for him?
Last year was extraordinary because it was new. It was the first year with us, the 50-50 club. This year is certainly different because it's something that he's always dreamt about, as far as being a pitcher in the big leagues, hitting in the big leagues, and so he's going to get the chance to realize his dream to pitch in the postseason and do both. So that's different, but also I think that he's just much more comfortable, around the guys, around everyone, versus last year it was still kind of a feeling out process.
You talked about him not wanting to feel like he's got to do too much as a hitter. Does any of that apply to the pitching part as you get into October? Is there a different mindset where you kind of want him to feel like he can go out there and dominate? How does that?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know how how parallel they are, because I think that when you're on defense in the box, essentially, pitchers dictate where the ball goes, what pitch is thrown, so you have to be able to react. So that's why I feel that being able to react in a disciplined manner is beneficial for all hitters, not just Shohei. Certainly in the postseason too. As far as in the pitching, you're more the proactive, you're kind of the aggressor, and so I think that it almost kind of conversely, because the first inning could be the game, so it's not a feeling out of getting into the game, trying to get through 5 or 6 innings. It's like every out's important, so you could almost argue that kind of go as hard as you can for as long as you can, kind of that mantra.
Considering that, it kind of feels strange to ask this, but is today a good test then, or a good experience for him to have going up against a postseason team in which preparing for October as a pitcher then?
Yeah, today's a good test. It's a very well-prepared offense. These guys a lot of those guys are veteran hitters. They're gathering information potentially for a rematch. There's a lot of left-hand hitters in the lineup, so it's a good test, yes.
His season last year was historic, so it was almost natural that it would come down this year. Does the difference in the offense, do you see it directly correlate to taking on the pitching again? And did you expect more of a drop-off offensively?
Well, I think that, if you can go back to February or March, we talked about he was going to have less stolen bases because of just trying to manage the legs, and we've seen that. But in totality, this is a better year. When you bake in the less stolen bases, but you're taking on the pitching, and he's still close to 50 homers. So I think in totality, it's a better season. It's not new. But the drop-off, I don't know his OPS, but just where he's at right now and where I expect him to finish off, I don't think there has been a drop-off at all, to be quite frank. Yeah.
Considering what you saw from the offense the last few days, just how do you want to see them get to Sanchez early in this one today?
Yeah, it's a different mix. It's much more velocity. So yeah, we're gonna have to just be aggressive in our zone, and this is a more aggressive approach probably than Ranger. More edgy, much more changing of speed. So it's a little bit more of an aggressive approach. It's probably my guess.
Last 2 outings, Tanner's had clean innings. What's the difference in how much does he have to do to restore confidence?
Well, I think the thing is that the last 2 have been good. I think that the stuff has been better, the slider's been better. Hopefully we found something, and he's one of our guys. So I really believe without a doubt that for us to win the World Series, we're going to need him. And for me, I don't see any other side. So the most important thing is for him to get the confidence that baseball doesn't hate him, and he's the best option when he's out there.